n8n is absolutely skyrocketing in popularity for creating AI agents. I mean, just look at this graph. You've got Zapier humming along really well for several years, and then all of a sudden, in the beginning of 2025, n8n just takes off. You've probably seen it all over YouTube too. And for good reason. It's very easy to create powerful agents in n8n. Look at this ridiculous workflow I have to create an n8n agent that I'm able to interact with within ClickUp. I've got several triggers, I have tons of tools, and it works really, really well. There's only one issue with n8n agents that really bug me. It's that the chat interface built into it is really not that great. And if you use webhooks to create your own chat interface and use the agent, it's still not that great. The problem is you can't stream responses from n8n agents. You can only get the entire response back once it's finished. And with agents, oftentimes that response takes 20, 30 seconds. It can take even a minute or two or even longer if you're calling a lot of tools or doing some sort of complex process. Now for the user, you're left wondering what's going on that entire time. You can't stop it prematurely, and you're just kind of stuck waiting until the agent finally gets back to you. I don't think that's a great experience. I certainly wouldn't put this interface on my website, and I think that we can do better. So if n8n makes it so easy to make AI agents, but it doesn't allow you to do streaming, how do you reconcile those two things? In this video, I'll show you how to combine the power and simplicity of building n8n agents with the power of streaming and custom code. We'll be using n8n's MCP server, which you can see on screen here, to give our agent access to the tools in n8n, while we use custom code or other methods to actually support streaming with our agent. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can approach this. I was looking for the simplest way to get a really solid agent that uses n8n's features. And I think the best one is Claude Desktop. So if you open up Claude Desktop and you go to your settings, under integrations, you can add an integration, call it something, and you can get your MCP server URL and paste it in here. So you're gonna open this up and paste it in here and hit add. Okay, so that's it. We've added the MCP server in here. You can go into tools and settings, and you can actually remove certain tools if you don't want it to have access. And you can also choose whether you want that tool to require permission before running. So this gives you a lot of control over the agent. And then you get all of the nice convenience of using Claude Desktop. Now the problem is this does require a Claude subscription, so if you don't want to pay for that, you're going to be stuck with that. But it does work really well. So I can say create a Todoist task with test data for tomorrow, and I have a Todoist tool in here, and then it asks me if I'm allowed to do that. I'm going to hit allow always to calculate date and time. I have a calculator in there because agents tend to have trouble with calculating dates. Going to say allow always, and what's nice is it's streaming a response. It's showing you the actual input and output that it sent, and then you're done. So this is a pretty great experience, I would say. You can also integrate the MCP server with Claude Code, so that's a great way to get the advantages of n8n without having to deal with the lackluster lack of streaming. Another way that is free but not that powerful is Cloudflare's Playground AI. So it is playground.ai.cloudflare.com. It basically allows you to choose from open source models, and then you give it a system message, maximum output, and then you can put in an MCP server URL and connect it. I'm going to do that here. And it gets the tools. And then you can ask it something like create a Todoist task with test data for tomorrow. Now, the problem with this is you only have access to these open source models in this particular interface. As far as I know, they don't have one with flagship models. This is just kind of a playground to show their new feature that allows you to run local models on their workers. So the utility of this is limited because the reality is most models are pretty bad at agentic workflows and using tools. So basic stuff like this is going to be fine. But when it comes to actually useful production agents, this is not it. All right. So now I want to show you a template that I created, which you can use for yourself, and it is custom coded, so you can take it in whatever direction you want. The advantage of this over Claude Desktop is, for one, you can use whatever API key and model you want, so it doesn't have to be Claude, but second, you can make the experience that you want. If Claude Desktop doesn't work the way that you want to, you can make it your own way. And with custom code, you have the flexibility to create whatever experience you want. So that means like if you want to create a Chrome extension that can live on your sidebar as you work, you can do that. I have this Chrome extension which my team and I have developed, which allows you to choose from a list of agents and send messages all on the sidebar, and it sticks with you as you go from page to page, which makes it really convenient to use. So the sky's the limit with custom code, and I think that if you have a good starting boilerplate, you can do some pretty incredible things. All right, so this is a preview of the tool that I created, and truly, I didn't spend that much time on this. It was pretty easy to get this off the ground and running, and I only had to make a few tweaks to get it going, but now I have a solid template to build off of, and I will share that template with you as well. So let me show you how this one works. I've already connected my MCP in here, so I'm gonna say, can you create 3 test tasks for me in Todoist for tomorrow? And as you can see, it has streaming support, and it shows you the tools that it uses, input and output, similar to Claude Desktop, perfect. And I can adjust my system prompt over here. I can have a new chat thread. So in many ways, it mirrors the experience of using Claude Desktop. Now, what's really powerful to me about creating something custom like this is instead of having this sort of default view of input and output with JSON that can be a little bit difficult to read, imagine if you replace these with helpful UI cards that show you like a Todoist task and shows you the title and the due date and the signed and the location all in one simple UI interface. And then maybe you can click it and open up that task directly. This is how you can extend the agent experience to feeling like an actual app instead of just a chat interface, and it just makes it infinitely more useful. It's really simple to actually tweak the interface like this. You can just take the output of a tool call and then tell AI to modify your code base to allow this user interface whenever that tool is called. So it's a really simple change to make. Now, this template is built on something called Assistant UI. Assistant UI is basically a boilerplate that makes it easier to stand up something like this. So you can see the interface is very similar to their basic example, but if you look at the examples page, you can see that they actually have quite a few different examples that you can play around with, and you can make it look however you want. It just basically gives you some tools to make it easy to create this user interface. So you can take a look at those examples and you can use any of their boilerplates. You can even create a clone of the Claude interface in one of their examples. All right, so let me jump to the boilerplate template that I created for you. I will have the link in the description. This is a GitHub repo, and it's public. You can go in and download it right now. I gave basic instructions for setting this up. It's really quite simple. All you're going to do is in your environment file, you're going to set up your Anthropic API key, because this is built specifically with Claude's model. And then you're going to set up your n8n MCP URLs. You can use any SSE based MCP server here. It doesn't have to be n8n. And you just comma separate them to put multiple of them. All right, so this is how you download my template and make it your own. What you're going to do is open up Visual Studio, clone the Git repository. So put in that URL, and it'll have you choose a directory to clone into. I already have one. I'm going to paste that in here. Select the destination. Okay, so in here, you're going to create a new file called .env.local. And this is where you put in your variables. So just copy this over here. So you're going to paste your Anthropic API key here, and you're going to paste in your MCP server URL here, and you can get that by double clicking on your MCP server trigger. And once you've pasted those in, I'm going to do that. Okay, so now that you've pasted those in, you're going to open up a terminal, and you're going to do npm install. And what this will do is install all of the dependencies for this package. Once that's done, you're going to do npm run dev. This will start your development version of the server, and you can go ahead and wait for that to pop up. Okay, that took a while for me personally. I'm not sure why my file system is slow, but it might have to do with antivirus. So you open up localhost 3000. Let me just bring this in, localhost 3000, and this will appear, and you can go ahead and use it. It has your API key, it has the MCP server, and you're good to go. Now, if you don't know how to make an MCP server in n8n, it's really quite simple. So what you're going to do is go to n8n and create a workflow. And you're going to type in MCP server trigger. And then you're going to add tools. So if you've built an n8n agent before, you already have tools. You can literally copy them from your other workflow and paste them in here, and they will be configured already. So I transferred from a typical n8n agent to the MCP server trigger in like 1 minute, because you just copy paste and you're done. But if you don't know how to do that, all you need to do is add a tool and then configure the parameters. So you can choose, the HTTP endpoint to call, you can put in parameters, and you can choose to let the model define certain parameters. So you can do something like this and add a description. So you basically tell the model what parameters it's able to edit and what they mean. So put a question in here, and you can also give it a description. The description is really important because you want to explain what this tool is for. So maybe this is a research a question online, and then you could do research question as the name. And when you check your MCP server, you'll see that the tool name is this node name, and the description comes through as well. And the AI model also gets all of the information on the descriptions you put into each field. So these are really important to fill out if you want your model to know exactly what to do. But yeah, you just add the tools as normal, and then you activate the workflow, copy that server URL, and paste it into your chatbot, and you're good to go. One of the other big points with AI agents is that they forget all of your previous conversations. But what if there was a way to improve their behavior over time automatically? I have another video that shows you this template, which allows you to create a set of rules for your AI agent and have it follow those rules and create its own rules, so that in the future its behavior is improved. So you can say things like, hey, next time remember to do it this way, and it'll create that rule, and every time you call it in the future, it has that rule in its memory. That's the next video coming right up, and it's also linked in the description. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you make something with my template, I would love to hear about it and see what you made. Talk to you later.